everybody, and welcome to Wargaming.net League North America World of Tanks Season 1 League play begins, where the top 16 teams from North America will battle it out for the next 3 weeks, and we'll find out who will be the best of the best in the finals happening in Las Vegas, August 17th and 18th. I'm Joshua Clutch Gray, your host for this evening. Joining me on the set, we have Andre Gritorp-Hangshua, one of the greatest analysts when it comes to any game in esports.
Oh, I thank you.
You are very welcome, sir.
I appreciate it. I'm so glad to be here, not only with you, Clutch, but also we have a couple other hosts out on the stage, of course. Actually, I'll let you introduce him.
That's
because
right,
you
man.
are the true introducer.
We have joining us on the set, Randall Rookil Holcomb.
Howdy.
Formerly from Team Simp, one of the greatest scouts in the world, and also a great tanker in World of Tanks, very respected community figure, and also one of our resident experts for World of Tanks. Randall, it's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's excited. Let's get going.
You know, I'm gonna actually, after watching Randall play a ton, I'm going to give him a nickname. He is Neo from now on because he dodges bullets like it's his job.
He's
man.
the one.
He dodges bullets.
It's all about timing.
Yeah, especially in those fast little scout tanks, man. It's a little bit more difficult with the heavy tanks. Crazy. All right, this day in history, something that was crazy as well is the duel between Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, resulting with Mr. Hamilton being killed later on, dying from injuries. Happened in 1804, quite a while ago. But they still had those political strifes and those duels back in the day. We don't really do that nowadays, but I wonder if we did, what the world would be like.
Did you know that back then it was actually bad manner to shoot someone in one of those duels?
You were supposed to like shoot off the side,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
So Aaron Burr, he's BM.
It was a lot of political strife between those two. Let's go ahead and jump into the match list for tonight. Of the 5 matches we're going to be hosting, it's going to be Fulcrum versus Turtle Police, Bear Huggers versus Simple Tankers, River of Blood versus Refuse to Die, and Scurry Hard versus Cazadores, plus Simp versus Mop 4. Now, some of you may be asking yourselves, where did Bear Huggers come from? Well, unfortunately, Pupstars had to drop out of the league. So we went through the list and talked with Wargaming, and Bear Huggers was the next available team that was willing to join our league. So we extend them a warm welcome to the league play, and they will be having a tough road ahead because they are an unproven team. They didn't have to go through the qualifiers. They were invited because of their placement in the Major League Championship Series from the spring season from Wargaming. I look forward to how they're going to perform because they did actually compete in the qualifiers, but they didn't make it.
Yes.
So I wonder.
They were kicked out in the second one by their fellow clanmates from Red Skies. So that was why can't I remember the team name right now?
Blacking out. Well,
no, it's the one that we can't pronounce. It's EC.
Oh, that's right.
Ermagerd Kernavern.
They had some great skirmishes, some great matches. They weren't able to come all the way through, but I'm sure they were very excited to hear the invitation that went out to them. They did accept. So we wish them and the rest of the top 16 teams the best of luck in this season. Let's go ahead and tell you guys the rule format of how this is going to work. This is a 7x42 esports matchup for World of Tanks. That means there's 7 players per team that fight on the battlefield. However, each team can have up to 10 players on their roster. 42 tier points per team, meaning that's the max amount of tier points they can have, adding all their tanks together. The highest tier tank they can have on the battle is 8. They can't go any higher. No tier 9s, no tier 10s, no E5s, none of those huge tanks. Each match is going to be a best of 5, and the point system will accumulate as the top 8 teams at the end of the league will go on to Vegas. 3 points go to the victors, 0 points go to the losers, and if we do end up in a draw, it'll be 1 point. Now, the draw system, we'll get into that a little bit later of how that's going to work. If that does happen, we do have a point system in place, so we're not here for 4, 5, 6 hours with multiple draws happening. It actually extinguishes the map pool, and if it comes down to that, it goes to 1 point each for the team, which is great to me. It just continues the action, and also draws are a part of the game.
That's right, and it does give a little bit of strategy. Later on, let's say you are ahead, you're really far ahead, you can actually try to draw things, I'm saying ahead in the overall, I guess, group stages. You could just draw things out knowing that you can maintain the point lead, you can maintain the advantage over everybody else. That way it gives you a couple of options. You can maintain leads that way. It'll be really interesting to see if any of these teams implement it. Of course, I'm mainly looking at the very, very top tier teams that might be looking to use that. But also, you got to keep in mind, if, let's say you're up against Fulcrum and I am someone like Bear Huggers, I might try to draw it out and go for that small point advantage. It's better than a loss. And of course, you can gain some grounds on Fulcrum that way through other means.
It does add into the meta and the mind game as well, because if you picked a certain strategy in one map, you draw it out, you can get a completely different set of tanks or a different strategy that you pick for that same map or for the next map. But let's go ahead and jump into the groups now. And this is the invited teams as well as the qualified teams. In Group A, which is the Alpha Conference, we have Fulcrum Gaming, Turtle Police, Bear Huggers, and Simple Tankers. They were the invited teams. And joining them via the qualifiers, we have River of Blood, Refuse to Die, Scurry Hard, and Cazadores. Cazadores performing, again, very well. This is a team that I'm really going to look out for throughout the entire league. Some great play. Also, River of Blood's incredible aggression. To see that up against these invited teams, especially, you know, a team like Fulcrum Gaming or a team like Mop 4, Turtle Police later on, if they ever go up against them, that's going to be huge, I feel, to see that type of aggressive play style versus kind of the tried and true play style that these invited teams have had.
You know, what's so interesting, I really want to call attention to Fulcrum, as a lot of teams know and a lot of players know about this team. We normally have the style of learning, which is scientific, you know, observational. You do a lot of experiments, and you see it grow, and you see how it develops, and you kind of see the win rates as well. I feel like Fulcrum Gaming is one of those teams that doesn't operate like that. They go with a very engineer-based style, where they build a strategy with clear facts, mathematics, with a little bit of simulation, but for the most part, they're looking to really build their strategies rather than just say, okay, let's do trial and error and find, you know, maybe the best observationally best win rate. But that's something that's really cool. I know you have a little bit, well, you have a lot of experience with the very, very high level play. What can you tell us about observational studies over, I guess, mathematical engineer studies?
Yeah, you can build your strat, and you can say, you can throw out all of these numbers like your penetration, you want to bring this tank as that, but in the end, a lot of what you do has to come down to what you're comfortable with and what you know how to use. Because there's some tanks that people use which aren't necessarily the most optimal tank all the time. But there are, you know, there are times when you do also say, well, this tank does actually mathematically look better than this tank. I'll play a T-69 right now instead of playing a Pershing. That's an example of why the T-69 is just such a great tank. Maybe we're not all comfortable with it. No, everyone doesn't have thousands of battles in it. Very few people actually have that many because it's such a new tank. Yeah. But you bring
it's still anybody's game. It's still anybody's game, and we see a lot of different strategies and choices that are made from the tank selection to the actual execution. Let's go ahead and take a look at Group B right now. The Bravo Conference, we have Simp, Mop 4, Strike, and Wreak Havoc. Those are the invited teams. And the qualified teams, Simplistic, Nerve, Cunninghams, and Ermagerd Kernavern. We call them EC for short. EC, they had a major upset against Cazadores in qualifier number 1, but they were able to make it through qualifier number 2. Cunninghams were known as More Golds during the qualifiers. They did change their name. These are two teams that performed very well. EC, I think, is probably one of the favorite teams coming in from the qualifiers. But the invited teams, man, we have Simp, Mop 4, and these guys were the 2nd place and the 4th place from the Spring Championship qualifier, the Spring Championships tournament from Wargaming. So this is a pretty strong group. Both the groups are strong, but especially these invited teams, man, they look really good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I know a lot of teams are taking the invited teams very seriously. I got a chance to talk with a lot of the guys on Ermagerd Kernavern, and I know for sure they are prepping for matches, and that's something that's a little bit different than what we've seen or what maybe you've played in pubs, which is you go into it, you know, you just play it out. A lot of these teams know and can expect what their opponents are going to do, and they build these strategies only based on a certain map, a certain team, trying to hard counter whatever they're doing. That's something that's really interesting. Preparation is such a key thing when you're against really notable teams, because when you are notable, that means a lot of games are going to be out in the internet for you to look at, and that means there are a lot of things that you can do, little nuances that you can take advantage of just to get that little tiny edge on your opponent.
And that's the price you have to pay when you're the best. You're going to have a bullseye on your back, and people are going to be studying you.
That's right.
Rootkill, you know all about that. Since you're one of the best scouts in the world, people follow your play all the time.
I have had tons of people try and counter out my patterns, my moves, because as a scout, you fall into patterns. All scouts fall into little patterns. It's hard to be random. And you want to be random as a scout, but people will watch your replays, they'll learn what you're going to do, and they'll counter it out. And it's hard to deal with.
Yeah. And you know, like, I've actually thought a lot about this, and if I'm playing up against Rootkill, I'm going to try to get my hands on as many replays of the same map as possible, and I say, let me see the scouting pattern. Okay, 70% of the time he does this scouting pattern. it's not going to be maybe he doesn't do it this game, but let's prepare for that because, you know, if I have 100 games against him, 70 of those times I'm going to get a good shot on him and maybe even get first blood.
Yeah.
Well, as much fun as it is to play World of Tanks, people also like to watch World of Tanks to see those different kinds of strategies, and that's what our audience is going to really enjoy. And they can also catch the VODs on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/WGLNA in case you missed any of the matches. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/WGLNA. And also on Facebook, it's all the same, guys. Facebook.com/WGLNA, Wargaming League North America. We're going to have gold giveaways for all the people on Twitter and Facebook. Also, we have a really cool feature that we're going to debut today. It's the betting system. Now, you're not going to be betting on money, but this is points. And these points will be used for cool prizes. We'll actually show who's on the top of the leaderboards at the end of the broadcast tonight. So for more information on how this works, all you have to do is be inside of the Twitch chat channel. And there you'll see a bot. And that bot will give you instructions on when to place your bets. Now you can bet the points that you currently have and put them on a specific team you think is going to win. And based on the outcome, you'll get a percentage back of your points, or you know how the betting system works. You know who's really good at that stuff is Rotterdam, on how all the figures work and all that stuff. I haven't been to Vegas yet, so I'm not really good at that stuff. But it's really, really fun. It's really engaging, and we'll let you know via the chat when you can place your bets. There'll be a certain time frame. And again, another way that people can be really, really involved, and for us to give out some really cool prizes for World of Tanks stuff. Yeah. Gold, premium, is going to be great.
That's what it comes down to. Stay involved, you're going to get paid off. I mean, whether it's going to be through gold, through premium, through the leaderboards, anything like that, you will eventually get paid off. So stay involved. Stay with us. Twitter, Facebook, as you said, YouTube. WGLNA, just go to them every single day and keep up to date with your favorite teams and your favorite casters, such as these two final gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We come back. It's going to be match number 1 of Fulcrum Gaming versus Turtle Police. Don't go anywhere. Are you ready? Welcome to the Wargaming.net League North America World of Tanks.
Oh my God!
It is time for North America to answer the call of esports. This could be it. 5 seconds left to go.
I think we said
it. Got it at the last second. An amazing play. This is just a taste of what's to come. He's trying to turn it around.
Big shots going down all over the place.
Oh my God. Everybody, welcome back to WGLNA. I'm Clutch, joined by Greetorp and Rookhill to bring the action here. About ready to start off our first match, Fulcrum Gaming versus Turtle Police. I have to say Turtle Police is a team that I haven't seen a whole lot of. I mean, obviously they performed very well in the Major League Championship Series, but they're an unproven team compared to Fulcrum Gaming. This is the top team, one of the top teams in North America.
Definitely limited resources for Fulcrum Gaming to pull from, but I actually want to refer to Rookhill a little bit, as he's probably going to be the most experienced with Turtle Police. Can you tell us a little bit about Turtle Police? What's their deal?
So they've, as far as I've known, they've come from the Forge clan. They used to be members, most of them, and I can't remember if they're still in the clan, but most people, as they've joined the league, have actually begun leaving their clans or really bowing out of clan wars. So these guys have gotten together, they've been practicing, and they are a little experienced with each other. So they're not totally new, and they're not totally inexperienced. So I expect good fights out of them. That's what I can say.
Well, to be one of the invited teams, you can definitely expect a lot out of them. To be an invited team, you would have had to place top 8 in a recent tournament that we actually pulled from. So to be top 8 amongst teams like Cazadores and Ermagerd Kernavern, it's pretty difficult. And of course, teams like Cazadores and Ermagerd Kernavern weren't able to compete, or they were able to compete, but they weren't able to take top 8. Yep. So obviously they have a lot of skill. I'm looking forward to them. Obviously there could have been bracket luck in that top 8 performance, but against Fulcrum Gaming, that's a very, very steep mountain to climb.
I want to talk a little bit more about Fulcrum before we get both of these team leaders on to talk a little bit to each other to see if they have some words of wisdom before they go into the fight. But Fulcrum, again, this is a very organized team. They participated in the World Cyber Games Grand Finals in Kushan, China. They placed 3rd. They went up against teams like the Red Rush, teams like Wave Knight, Red Rush taking 1st place, Wave Knight taking 2nd. So when it comes to being in a pinch, or to be in a very, very high-stress scenario in a tournament, these guys can definitely pull it off. And I hope that Turtle Police can perform very well the same, because this is going to be a high-stress environment, because $100,000 is on the line. And right now it's time to hear from both of these gentlemen. I'd like to welcome the commander of Fulcrum Gaming. It is Nagatron, and from Turtle Police, it is Lord Commander. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well.
Doing great. First off, Nagatron, I want to ask you, what's it feel like to be here starting Season 1 of World of Tanks North America?
It's fantastic. I mean, this has been, what, 8 months? 8 months coming now? So it's a long journey. Glad it's finally coming to an end, or starting, I guess, a different one.
Do you feel more pressure since you're such a kind of recognized team in North America and in the world compared to some of the other teams that are in this league?
We're certainly under more pressure to succeed, but realistically, as far as I'm concerned, all that matters to me is what we think, and obviously we want to win. So I think we put more pressure on ourselves than anybody else could anyways.
Okay. And do you have any words for your opponent, Turtle Police?
Good luck.
All right, Turtle Police, Lord Commander. First off, congratulations again on making it into the league, being one of the invited teams. I believe you said that this is still anybody's game, that even though these teams that were invited doesn't mean they're the best teams in North America. Are you here to prove that tonight?
No, I was kind of talking about us. No, I'm kidding. But, no, I do think that the top 8 teams from this tournament might not necessarily be the ones that were invited beforehand. I think that the other 8 from the qualifiers are all really solid teams. So.
Well, they are really solid teams. We expect to see some really solid play. Now, one of the fun facts you actually put down in your bio is that not all turtles have hard shells. Some of them have soft shells or flexible shells. Does that mean you're a flexible team, that you're not going to turtle up in some of these matches and you're going to actually pull some aggression?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay. And finally, what do you have to say to your opponent, Team Fulcrum?
Good luck to you, too.
All right,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
Steve.
Fulcrum, since you're the higher seed, you get to call out the coin toss. So do you pick either heads or tails?
Tails.
All right, tails it is. Let's go ahead and toss a coin. It is heads. So that means Turtle Police gets to choose the map. Turtle Police, which map would you like?
Let's do Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka will be the first map. Fulcrum, what is your spawn position?
I think we'll take the south.
They'll take the south. Fulcrum will spawn south on Prokhorovka, meaning Turtle Police will take the north. Good luck to you, gentlemen, in the match ahead. We'll see you on the battlefield. Welcome back to WGLNA as we begin battle number 2. Since battle number 1 was a draw between the two, it's going to be a best of 5 between Fulcrum Gaming and Turtle Police. Looking forward to the next map as the teams decide what the map is going to be. All right, Rukil, since this is a different type of map compared to Prokhorovka, why don't you break down some of the different positions they can take right before we start this off?
Yep. So from the north side and the south side, you can both go to the city. You can just both run right up into any positions here, and you can take up some nice corners. From the north, you got D1 and all the way into, what is that? Is that E3? And then from the south, you can get F1 all the way up to F3, and those are 2 really common spots for the heavies to group up, and then they'll begin fighting over the middle of the map in this little courtyard there. That is a point of contention, and at the same time, you'll see tanks, and actually you can see this tank right here, a medium in about C6. He's going to begin pushing up to bring in flanking fire on anyone, but actually I'm seeing a one-line push.
Yeah, Turtle Police one-line pushing here, getting a little bit closer into the enemy position. They have been scouted by Relics in a great position as T1 Cunningham right into that window, being able to spot what's happening. IS-3, AMX 5100, IS-3, and another IS-3 for Turtle Police locking down the position. There are other 2 tanks, 2 light tanks over to the right side, being able to scout any type of movement coming in from that side, but it looks like Fulcrum Gaming is a little bit more spread out in a centralized area, not actually all the way across the map. Just like you said, Rukil, they are going to be pushing down that railroad line.
Yep. So down the one line here, it's a weird position because they've actually stopped, which I find to be very strange. You've got VP Cheney and a Pyro sitting out, and actually, shots fired on Absolute Royal as he tries to flank That was, it would have been a smart move had he not been spotted. I'm a bit surprised that through all of those trees and bushes, there was actually a little bit of area where he could get spotted.
Yeah, he does take some hits at 50% HP at that time. Not good for a T-69, which is not the strongest tank out here on the battlefield. It is a medium. It's got a 4-shot auto load on its turret, and it can pack quite a punch, but it's more of a finisher. It's more of a flanker type tank, not a frontline firing tank compared to like the IS-3s or even the AMX-5100s. But now they are pushing up even further on the one line, spotting relics up there in the window. They're not going to be able to land a shot, though. However, they could move around this corner and see if anyone's trying to poke their head out from Fulcrum. If not, no, shots fired, and they get the kill on relics. That is going to be a blind side for the side of Fulcrum at this time. They're not going to be able to see exactly what's happening and what's pushing on from Turtle Police.
Yep, and Hugo Maximus and Friction have pinned Cheney. He's not able to cross with the rest of his team. Memory Leak, Apyro, and Akiyama, however, did get across without taking fire. VP Cheney is actually reverse angling. Unfortunately, he's the way he's doing it has actually revealed his front, and Fulcrum is pushing into the courtyard where they will attempt to catch out someone and hopefully destroy them. At the same time, you've got
Lord Commander took a lot of damage himself, though, in that firefight. Friction was able to get hit once in his AMX-5100, but Lord Commander took a little bit too much damage in that. In the AMX-5190, shots fired again. Nagatron gets hit by Cheney as Cheney is trying to block Lord Commander in a great position behind his IS-3. More shots fired again. Nagatron trying to get any type of HP, chipping away against Cheney. Cheney's able to fall back, but Pyro himself and the other IS-3 gets hit to the side. Lord Commander and Cheney could be in a bad position if Nagatron and Absolute Royal decides to push. However, he's able to lock himself down and was able to guard Lord Commander at that time. Great placement.
Yeah, VP Cheney at this time, though, is pushing, trying to catch Absolute as he gets around the corner, but luckily for Absolute, he does get away. VP is going to push up with Lord Commander on his heels.
Red base now under attack. Blue is trying to get a capture at this time. Turtle Police pushing in as Nagatron and Absolute Royal are scouted here in the center, taking a little bit too much damage in order to get out there and fight against an IS-3 in a flanking maneuver. However, Nagatron trying to take the front push here as Cheney tries to get that angle. Shots fired. Nagatron is hit, gets to the side. Absolute Royal and him are able to get the target fire, and down goes Cheney, as well as Memory Leak goes down in the IS-3 from Hugo Maximus.
But the base is up at 65%. The pressure is on for Fulcrum to kill and then stop cap, as we see Soviet in the 5100 is returning to base.
And he does reset the timer on one of the tanks that was there for the capture. One other light tank is still there at 50%. However, a light tank versus Soviet is going to not fare too well for the T1 Cunningham. Soviet's going to lock in the position here as Protector of the Realm tries to one away. One shot, and he goes down.
Now it is a 3v1 as Akiyama is all alone in his own base's courtyard over here in C4. Where are the rest of Fulcrum? Are they surrounding him?
Fulcrum is in a three-prong position. Greetorp, you've got a better sight than I do. What's their different placement?
I mean, realistically, they're able to swarm around him pretty nicely. Absolute Royal is going to clean up the last pick. And down goes Turtle Police for the first battle to be won here at the WGLNA.
That was a pretty quick engagement between both of them once it started to pick up the firefight. I mean, the first shots were landed against Fulcrum, so they were immediately at an HP disadvantage for some of their tanks. However, Turtle Police being aggressive and going for the flag capture, I think they were a little bit too spread out.
Well, where it really comes down to, when you go up that one line, you don't have a lot of entrances into your opponent where you can surround them in or have good engagements, I should say. You don't have a good way to not take a lot of HP while also doing damage to your opponents. And that's the big problem. They're going up the one line, even though they're spotted. The T1 is going to go down over in, let's say, the B1 area. But still, you don't have a lot of options directly after that. And what they were looking for was for a tier 8 to be somewhere out there so that they can pick them off real quick and then, of course, go for a big win. But as soon as they go up the one line, it's very difficult for them to obviously engage. And Fulcrum, it was just very methodical. It was clockwork, man. Like, they were able to surround the positions, always get good engagements. They were able to cut off a couple of their opponents. Cheney, of course, was getting cut off throughout that whole time. And then obviously take a slower advantage as the match went on.
Nagatron and Absolute Royal were battle buddies of the T-69s. We're going to going to take a quick commercial break. We come back. It's going to be battle number 3 between Fulcrum Gaming and Turtle Police. Don't go anywhere. Everybody, welcome back to WGLNA. I'm Clutch, joined by Greetorp and Rukill. The timer has begun for battle number 3 of Fulcrum versus Turtle Police, as they'll be doing the tank selection. And what is the map going to be? It's going to be steppes. All right, teams are moving out already, about to be spotted here. Nope, it looks like they're going to spread out more to the east and west rather than north and the south. Rukill, go ahead and break down for us some of the different positions these different tanks can take.
Yes, so my mini-map here, my big one here, isn't working, so I'm just going to detail for you in-game. So from what I see in the north, I've got a nice spread out of Turtle Police. They've got 2 tanks all the way in E3 in the west, and on the east side, they've actually got 3 of their 1390s sticking together, with the T1s being the passive scouts for the base, watching the home front and keeping their own cap under control, while Turtle Police attempts to kind of set, I think they were trying to catch someone out, maybe an opening scout run, knowing that you have very capable scouts, Absolute Royal, for example, in a 1390. I would make an opening scout run than that, but Turtle Police hasn't seen him. So where is Fulcrum? I don't know.
Well, Fulcrum right now is in a flying V position almost. If you're a fan of Mighty Ducks, it's more of a flying W at this point. But we have 3-4 tanks over on the southeastern side. 2 of the light tanks, one of them actually going up the 9 line at this time, going to head into the valley that is up to the northeast. He was about to get spotted, but he actually went down. And one of the tanks is actually heading in the very southern position, a defensive position next to the flag. So there was one scouting run from Friction all the way on the east side, but nothing got spotted and he went back. I feel it's going to be a little bit back and forth to some of these scouting light tanks. Friction might go ahead and go north a little bit again and do a scouting pattern. It's just kind of a button loop as we had in football. You go up and then you just loop to the left or loop to the right and wait for the pass. But these guys loop and then come all the way back so they don't get shot. But still nothing spotted yet on steps.
Right now they're using, it looks like Turtle Police is actually going to use Memory Leak as the lead scout in the T1 here. He's hiding behind a rock, and he led the way actually breaking cover to go further and further south. And now we see actually the 1390s, Apyro and Bubsky are actually going to back off, as I'm not sure where they want to go, but there is someone spotted. That is Friction, and the 1390 gets lit.
Yep, and again he goes back. Both of them actually got lit up. Both sides. He's going to head back to that G8 area right behind that rock and just hang back for a bit in his AMX 1390.
It's really hard for either of the teams to push forward because they haven't got any good scouts on. I mean, as you can see on Friction's side, I've been following them. They can't push up the western side, and it's basically because they don't know if there are any big tanks over there. Obviously, spotting Memory Leak gives them a little bit of indications, but not really that much. Actually, pretty negligible at this point. Just because you see a tier 1, and it's like, okay, a T1, there could be a lot of tanks behind there. There could be no tanks behind there. I still need to be careful. That's why Fulcrum is still all the way over on the western side, just getting ready for some potential push. And meanwhile, Friction is over here being a very active scout. And also, this is trying to tell its opponents, hey, you know, I have an AMX 1390 over here.
Nagatron gets spotted by VP Cheney over here in the west. And no damage goes out.
No
Nagatron slips away. Nagatron being a little risky there. I was thinking he might take fire. He looks like he jumped on top of one of the hills. So he revealed himself like that. I'm wondering why Nagatron did that. That reveals that the T-69s are most likely in the west. So Turtle Police now knows where the majority of Fulcrum's force probably is, and that is in the southwest. Right. So where I'm expecting to see some kind of change in Turtle Police's layout. Our 1390s need to be pulled or they need to attack something, because those T-69s are pretty far from the east where we actually saw a 1390. So there's a chance there to pick up a scout for free.
All right, well, a little bit of gambling is going on right here as Relics is going to move all the way up into the F2 line. And what this basically says is, okay, I know my opponents aren't really over here. He doesn't know just yet, but he's saying, for the most part, I know you're not around here. In the meantime, there is a spot over. Memory Leak is going to show himself to Friction, and Friction is going to try to line up a shot. Probably not going to get anything. but now you can see finally for the first time.
Relics is spotted, and so is Absolute Royal. VP Cheney takes a hit, and Akiyama is untouched, but Cheney is down to 1098. That's a little free damage before either team is going to be able to engage, so advantage is going right here to Fulcrum.
Yes.
A little bit of damage here.
Again, remember, guys, that it is the same exact lineups, 3 Amex 1390s, 2 T69s, and 2 Tier 1s. So obviously having that one-shot advantage does help out in the first inevitable engagement.
It's like a reflection pool. Just like as a princess from Disney looked into it and asked, when will my reflection show
Yeah.
who I am inside?
You really like Mulan, don't you?
I do. It's a great movie. Like you guys were saying, that HP advantage now, it's going to be slight, but however, it is an advantage against that HP pool because it's going to be the same for both these teams because of the same tanks. Relics and his T1 Cunningham just backing in and out of this bush to try to scout anything in his quadrant, and it may be a lonely life for...
Relics is lit here.
Oh, he did get lit up.
Way up. So actually, VP Cheney and Akiyama were moving back into more defensive positions. VP Cheney is taking up. Oh,
wow!
There he goes.
Bam! I was gonna say it's a lonely life for Relics, but his life's over.
That was Lord Commander in the 1390, way out.
Friction takes a shot as well. He will take out Memory Leak, but man, that is a big shot. Remember, those MX 1390s do have slightly less HP than those T69s. And of course, Cheney over there with his T69 is going to get hit. But the fact of the matter is, if you focus down Friction now, you're going to kill him in one less shot than those T69s. It does help for the inevitable engagement. So I like the priority so far. All of a sudden, Turtle Police has the very, very minor advantage now.
Minor advantage indeed. Both tanks, both Tier 1 tanks being down. Friction taking a little bit of hit himself. Cheney the same as T69. Some movement now happening from Fulcrum. Position
very large
themselves.
mobilization right now. Now, what Fulcrum is trying to do is isolate a tank as fast as possible. That's why they're gonna go over to this western corner, not get lit. That's the #1 priority. Do not get lit, and then all of a sudden they're just gonna charge out, try to pick off one person, and then of course just hide behind cover until...
Cheney is spotted here. Absolute Royal in the 1390 trying to line up a shot. House in the way, trucks in the way, shots fired. One hit goes on Cheney. Another shot hit from Absolute Royal. T69 Cheney, shot missed from Absolute Royal. Was able to hit the truck though. Bad for that farmer. Absolute Royal not going to move back behind. Probably going to reload at this time because he is out of the engagement. And if you're an autoloader, you always want to reload when you're not in an engagement. So you can have a full canister of destruction to rain down against your opponent. Cheney again, the T69 being lit up from Nagatron. He's not going to have a shot though because he's behind a mountain. Hugo Maximus, Absolute Royal backing up Nagatron as Soviet in the AMX 1390 all the way to the north, pushing through, trying to see if he can get a surround against his opponent behind those rocks to land another hit and allow them to push even further in to... Protector of the Realm is able to get spotted against Nagatron. Nagatron's going to line up the shot at T69. Ammo racks him and gets the kill. Cheney, the T69 himself at 382, gets hit.
Cheney will go down. That's a gigantic advantage. All of a sudden, Fulcrum is way, way ahead. They have a 9 tier point advantage at this point, so they can play very defensive. That puts the ball in Turtle Police's court. And now Bubsky is going to come in, get lit, and so is Akiyama.
Yep, they are peeking up, and damage goes out on Nagatron and Hugo, but it looks like they're trading just a little bit. Aki does take a hit of his own, and Bubsky's going to peek out again. This isn't really a situation in which a 1390 should be playing these hill games. Doesn't have the gun depression, and I feel like it's going to come and bite him in just a minute.
Lord Commander was spotted all the way on the other side. You can see how isolated Turtle Police is. They really don't have a lot of options because they've kind of done the jack of all trades, master of none. They don't have a clear advantage. Because of that, they've been just slowly picked off little by little.
At this time, because of the victory conditions, if you do have an 8-tier point advantage, you will win the battle. Fulcrum doesn't need to do anything. They can simply camp because they have an 8-tier advantage.
Bubsky gets caught out on top of the hill. Absolute Royal is putting shots out. Bubsky does burn his kit, though, to get back to safety. But Lord Commander is exposing himself.
Nagatron is going to be engaged against right now as a Pyro is going to start shooting out on the T69. AMX 1390 gets a lot of damage done to him. Lord Commander, though, is going to try to get Nagatron's flank, and it looks like Nagatron is going to go down momentarily here. Down he goes, but look at how much health is risked through all of this. Looks like Hugo Maximus and Absolute Royal are probably going to clean up a lot.
Hopefully they can. Bubsky, however, could take down Hugo Maximus. He does, or Akayama does. But Hugo Maximus is able to take down Lord Commander. Absolute Royal gets the kill on Bubsky. Soviet in a great position to the north. It is going to be a victory for Fulcrum in battle number 3.
Yeah, the time did expire. If you guys didn't notice, went all the way down to 0-0-0. So, of course, the tier 8 advantage goes to Fulcrum. That is, if you have more than 8 tiers ahead of your opponent at the end of the battle, then you will get the win for that.
Welcome back to WGL North America. Battle number 4 is about to start between Turtle Police and Fulcrum Gaming. Now, because of the tie that happened in battle number 1, Turtle Police has to win the next 2 matches in order for them to tie this match, or excuse me, the next 2 battles in order for them to tie this match. If Fulcrum wins the next match, then it'll be a victory. Yeah, it'll be a victory.
Actually, let's go over to my screen really quick. I want to show something ever so quickly. 3 IS-3s being chosen, T-69 and AMX 5100. This lineup has been up there for quite a long time now. That can be a mind game, of course. As you can see, Bubsky is switching out here. But how it works is you have 3 minutes to choose your tanks. After the 3 minutes, it's going. We're starting the battle
with or without you. We're starting
or not.
Yeah.
So for Turtle Police to basically put their whole lineup there way beforehand, I have to be like, well, Fulcrum can basically just hard counter completely, and we'll see if that's what they do. I haven't actually checked what they go. It's 2 AMX 1390s, an AMX 5100, and 2 T69s. Of course, 2 Tier 1 T1 Cunninghams.
We've got more IS-3s on the other side, and that's going to prove very, very good on Ruinberg, which is a beautiful map. It's split in half. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ruinberg.
Just based on lineups, it's very clear what we're going to have. Turtle Police going to go over to the city, most likely with those IS-3s favoring the urban fight style. Of course, the corner games. AMX 5100, 2 T69s, AMX 1390s going to go over to the Delta Village over on the east side and really take the open field. Rookhill, what do we have so far?
Well, it looks like Turtle Police actually to contradict you there, and surprising even me taking their IS-3s off into the east. I'm really surprised to see this because I also believe someone was spotted. Did I hear the
there was a ding, there was a quick spot, but I wasn't able to see who it was because I was actually watching Turtle Police myself going, okay, they're not going to the city.
This is a very strange position there, and actually they're grouped up all the way in K8 and K9 here. It's not a position I would actually consider to be very strong. It's confusing, really. I don't quite know what they're doing here. You've got a Pyro and an IS-3 moving around. Looks like he's going to move around to one of the flanks, or possibly try and get better coverage because most of Turtle Police's guns are all in one place, so they've pretty much got one angle to shoot at the enemy from. And it's not, I would not have done this myself. Let's just say that.
Well, they're in a crown position to try to target fire anything moving out from that village, from the Delta Village. However, that is a bit of a gamble for any of Fulcrum to push out like that.
They're trying to surprise Fulcrum, right? Right now, Fulcrum is thinking, okay, you are over in the city. I know you're over in the city just based on your lineup. So what they're hoping for is Fulcrum starts to position to defend against that city, or at least to aggress into that city, I should say. And all of a sudden, 3 IS-3s come up. Oh, right, here we go. A Pyro is going to be spotted. And it looks like...
No shots fired yet from either team.
Okay, never mind.
He is behind some really nice cover.
Yeah.
They would have to be all the way out in the west and have perfect shots, but I believe Fulcrum is out in the Delta Village, so they will not have any kind of angle on A-Pyro. They will simply know where he is.
Placement of Fulcrum right now, they have 5 tanks in the Delta Village. 1 light tank actually moving in one of the Cunninghams. The other one is to the north, again, in another defensive position. It is Relics, staying close to the flag to see if any type of push is going to happen. And Fulcrum still maintaining their position. I thought they were going to fall back here for a bit, but they're having the Delta Village is a strong point.
Akiyama needs to be careful. He is spotted right now.
And Nagatron pushing out. As well. The AMX 5100 shots fired, nothing hit though.
That's right. So both these teams just trading a little bit. I'm sure they're going to reload pretty soon here as T69s, AMX 5100s want to be at full capacity, I guess, for their their shots.
Greetorp, if you were in an AMX 1390, what would you rather have with you as your battle buddy? An AMX 5100 or an IS-3?
In this position, of course, an AMX 1390. I mean, you're out in the open. You have the ability to swarm around. It really depends. Obviously, if I'm in the city, I want an IS-3 to really absorb a lot of the damages and also to be aggressive, because with that IS-3, you can absorb the shots a lot better. They have a lot more hit points than AMX 5100. And then, obviously, the AMX 1390 can get good flanks, circle your opponents, and then, of course, get good shots off.
It was a trick question. The real answer is a KV-5.
Oh, sorry.
Xerox is going to get lit as he begins to try and scout, but he does not realize it, and he's going to go down.
Yep, first blood has been declared. Turtle Police actually shedding the blood against F0X. One of the T1 Cunninghams goes down, but Fulcrum now in a mad fit of rage could push out and get the revenge kill, or actually use their patience and tactical maneuvering and good battle tactics.
Remember, they don't need to do anything, though. In the series, they're up 2-0, as you guys can see. And if Turtle Police does not take the win here, if they draw out, they've already lost.
Yes.
They lose the whole series.
If this is a tie, that means that Turtle Police, in the best of 5, cannot overcome Fulcrum because of their 2 wins. So it will be a match win for Fulcrum.
So we really have to see what the blue team does, and as you can see on the minimap right now, they are starting to congregate up again. I really want to see them, you know, maybe even push into the city, knowing that, hey, well, you're down to T1, that means you're down a couple of eyes, or I guess 2 eyes exactly, or 1 eye, whatever you want to call it. You're down some eyes on the map. Let me go ahead and take advantage of this, maybe go for a fast cap. Maybe go for, you know, springing over from the
shots
the
fired
side.
from Absolute Royal lands against Memory Leak. 859 out of 1350. A solid hit from Absolute Royal's T69. Nagatron, Absolute Royal, and Hugo Maximus still sticking next to the Delta Village. Moving a little bit further was Hugo Maximus now at the E8 quadrant. But Nagatron still trying to land any other shots he can get. Crossfire. Turtle Police completely moving away from their southern position and now heading into the city themselves. 4 minutes, 34 seconds left on the clock. This could be the push that Turtle Police needs in order to tie up the entire match by winning this battle and the next one against Fulcrum.
Yeah, it's a very strange move. They're taking the safest possible route they can think of, and they're even going to have Parrot 1 try and lead the way in his T1 so as not to give away the fact that they're pushing. Yeah. It's they could be going for a fast cap here. And I'm not sure how it's going to work out because I don't know the location of Fulcrum scouts. 2 of
Fulcrum scouts, one of them actually all the way north, Relics, is pushing into the city himself. 2 of them in the center line, F5 in the city area, are going to try to scout anything moving across the F.
Oh, here we go. Everybody is spotted over here. IS-3, T1, AMX 5100. Bubsky is going to take a little bit of damage here. Soviet gets a nice shot with his AMX 1390, but now Fulcrum knows exactly what's going to happen. AMX 1390s are going to cover the back here, trying to get good crossfire, and they're looking to engage around, I would say, B3, B4, even C4 around there. And obviously the T69s are going to wrap around and try to really enclose on a single position, almost, you know, swarming their opponents, trying to get multiple flanks on them.
Yeah, Turtle Police is now moving forward. The only position they can really go here is Soviet, and the AMX 1390 is going to creep around and actually move toward the center of the city.
Interesting, interesting.
Instead of moving through the alleys. Oh, Bobsky kills Relics.
And Memory Leak, though, he's kind of isolated out here in his T69. He's going to be focused down by probably Nagatron in the AMX 5100. You can see that he doesn't have a lot of life left. 859, that's very easily
going for the cap, 50%, 3+ tanks on it. Relics, Soviet, anyone trying to get shots. Hugo Maximus able to land one of the hits there. Pyro, Bubsky trying to cover the rear flank. Akiyama and Bao shots fired trading against Hugo Maximus. Bubsky gets the kill against Friction in that 1390. Shots fired against Soviet. He gets hit and turned around, losing his tracks, has to use a repair kit. Bubsky in his 5100 has just over 50% health, and he's going to try to land a shot against Soviet. Ooh. Soviet getting a hit, 90%. 5%. Are they able to do it? They are able to get the capture. Turtle Police shows their teeth here. Victory goes to them. That means if they take the next battle, it'll be a tied match of Fulcrum versus Turtle Police.
Really, really exciting. Rookhill, I have to defer to you right now for what happened in that. How is it that Fulcrum wasn't able to stop that cap from happening?
Yeah, I'm really unsure as to why I think they put too many tanks in the city to try and flank. They should have had a bunch of tanks.
Yep.
Meet them at the front so you could
they
surround
went too
them.
far.
All of them went into the city.
Yeah.
It's not just...
It should have been maybe 1 or 2. Maybe a 1390, maybe 2 1390s to go around back, which is exactly what you should do to stop the cap. However, at the same time, you know, it seems great in theory, but you should have had someone out to the east. If someone was out to the east, then you could have had crossfire, you could have surround, everyone could have taken hits, you could have stopped the cap, but Fulcrum really didn't react that way, and I think they may have overreacted, expecting to be able to meet their enemy before they got to cap.
Perhaps Nagatron should not have entered the city himself and actually went up the 6th line to get the eastern flank moving in against them. Instead,
that would have worked really well. Alternatively, though, Turtle Police could have decided not to go onto the cap and just jumped all over Nagatron. Just saying, no cap, we're just going to kill Nagatron.
Yeah.
And that could have been their strat. So that's another reason why they could have tried to stick together like that. Splitting your forces, you do risk that kind of action, especially if your enemy's prepared. If Turtle Police wanted to bait cap, they could have just...
And we've seen that all the time. I mean, using that corner as such a I don't want to say fulcrum, but using that corner is such an integral way to isolate your opponents, right? Like if you are going to try to surround me completely, I'm just going to go right around the corner, isolate 1 of your or 2 of your tanks, and then I'll have the advantage. So all of a sudden, that fast cap wasn't really a fast cap. It was come at me, and then I can spring my trap at you. Yeah. That's something really important that Turtle Police could have implemented. I have to say, I liked everything that they did. They picked up the single T1, and then they made the move. I thought it was just a very intelligent, all-around, theoretically correct play.
And it came all the way down to their tank selection and those IS-3s, in my opinion.
For what?
For Turtle Police. In order to hold down, because of the type of armor they had and also for some of the bounces, they were able to cover some of the tanks to continue the capture instead of, you know, them getting hit and the points resetting. You had multiple tanks behind the IS-3s, and they were spread out in a good dimension as well. Just my opinion. IS-3s.
No, definitely. I mean, you saw the power of the IS-3s, but really, in my opinion, what it came down to was just the all-around strategy, and then Fulcrum just being a little bit too disorganized to defend that cap.
All right. Well, it's going to be one more battle to determine if this match is going to be a tie or a victory for Fulcrum. When we come back, don't go anywhere.
Tank fact number 83: World of Tanks is not the NBA, and hang time is not a good idea.
This vehicle is
It's not the NBA. Hang time's not a good idea. Thank you, Rotterdam, for that tank fact. All right, we are in battle number 5 to determine who's going to win the first match for Season 1 of League Play, our inaugural broadcast for League Play. Very excited. And we have Fulcrum Gaming versus Turtle Police. Turtle Police showing they still have teeth.
Yes, they do. Obviously, taking that last win for that battle was really important. Now, they can only draw in this series. They cannot actually win the series altogether. That's because Fulcrum has already taken 2 wins and, of course, a draw. For Turtle Police, they only have 1 win and 1 draw.
And even if this battle is a draw, it's a victory for Fulcrum because they have 2 wins.
Correct. That's another thing. I felt like Fulcrum could have played a lot more defensive last game. There's no reason for them to take the Delta Village. Obviously, going into the city is a lot, I would say, more defensive. But maybe that's just not their style of play. They don't like to do that.
Yeah, I don't quite agree with playing for a draw. If you play for a draw, you're letting your enemy play for a win. If you're both playing for the win, then you're both at that clash. This is a problem we had in Clan Wars. Okay. When if you were the defender, you could draw or you could win. And many times, inexperienced people would say, we can just draw, so we can camp it, right? We can make the most solid, hard turtle ever and just let it play out, sit there for 15 minutes. But you can't do that because your enemy will just find a way of breaking that or find a way of surprising you. The fast cap. I really think it caught them off guard when they probably predicted it was going to go to a draw.
Well, our next map is going to be Airfield. I do not expect a draw on this map, but we're definitely going to see.
We're definitely going to see. Let's go ahead and check out the beautiful map that is Airfield. This is the last battle between Turtle Police and Fulcrum, and we are going to determine if it'll be a match draw victory or a 3-point victory for the winner here, which could be Fulcrum. Fulcrum in the red, Turtle Police in the blue. Rookhill, what's happening so far?
Yep, so in the west side, I am seeing Turtle Police spreading out quite a bit with their T-32s, T-69, IS-3, and did I see a T-30? Yeah. So T-69, 1390, that was one I missed there. So there's a 1390 somewhere out here, and he has run all the way up to C1. Very interesting spot for him. He's not going for an opening scout run, and it's a very interesting sniping position. I think he's going to actually run along the B line and try and get to one of the rocks where he can maybe take cover and maybe get some nice flanking shots. However, I believe he's wasted his time and his window is closed to be able to do that safely. So he's just going to sit off in C1 and snipe. He's going to be a highly mobile sniper. That's the goal for that 1390 this match.
Okay.
The other T-32s, Akiyama and his battle buddy Bao Bao, are going to hold down and just kind of keep their enemy at bay while allies snipe.
Well, Bao Bao is spotted right now. It's a very difficult situation for Nagatron as he is. Oh my God, Nagatron had to use a kit. He was tracked momentarily there.
He's not in a good position. Those T-32s know where he's at. But there comes the cavalry on Team Fulcrum. Moving in, getting shots to the side of the T-32s. Great hits. That is the complete vulnerable side of the T-32s. Boom! First blood. Akiyama goes down. Bao Bao getting completely surrounded by the AMX 1390s and T-69s. There goes the armor advantage and even a huge HP advantage for Turtle Police.
Advantage for Fulcrum over here. IS-3 played by a Pyro is going to be picked off over here pretty soon. Of course, IS-3s can do a lot of damage, but the big problem is he lost 2 of his battle buddies.
He did, and now there's even more battle buddies for Friction as Absolute Royal, Nagatron, and Soviet are getting the hits on the IS-3. A Pyro actually moving into the best position he can, but it's not good enough. Absolute Royal gets the kill. The cameraman gets that great kill. IS-3 is going to continue to be on fire until the match is over. Great graphics engine that Wargaming's been able to build. And I actually wish I could jump on one of these airplanes and take off, play World of Warplanes, but that's a different game. F0X takes down Parrot 1, the T1 Cunningham battle. And so already, folks, Fulcrum Gaming will be your victors unless Turtle Police is able to secure an 8-point lead or wipe out the rest of all their remaining tanks.
It's almost impossible, and I feel like Fulcrum played this out so well. With the 3 T-69s and the AMX 1390, you will almost for certain have the map advantage. That means you have more movement, or excuse me, you have more positions to move around with. Bringing those T-32s, they're pretty slow compared to everything else, and they're not able to get into the best position. That's why you saw such a ridiculous flank onto those 2 T-32s. Really unfortunate, but you know, if you give Fulcrum an inch, they will take a mile sometimes. And you saw that happen over here in the last and final game of the match.
Bubsky does get the kill against Absolute Royal, but he himself gets exploded. And Fulcrum Gaming are victors for their match against Turtle Police. They were able to take it 3-1, along with the first draw. Congratulations to them. They will be securing 3 victory points in league play. Points are important because that'll determine after league play is over who will be going to Las Vegas. It'll be the top 8 teams.